Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racist Driving League with Season 14, Round number 9 of the Championship. This is the Canadian Grand Prix here from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. You join us as we are getting underway for qualifying for this next round of the Championship. Last week's race in Baku, incredibly entertaining. Less cars on the track last week. We're down to just 16 cars, so if I remember correctly. We've got 18 tonight, 19 as Lando will be joining us midway through qualifying. No Alvar tonight, unfortunately. It's just the one Williams car on the grid, that car being driven by Wardy. So in terms of the Drivers' Championship going in, we'll keep you guys updated on that. Grumio continues to lead the way. 13 points in front of Oliver. C110P fan, 23 points back in third. Lando with his victory last time out, 29 points off the top. Websy 49 back, and BJ is 51 off. So BJ's had a poor run of form these last couple of races. So hopefully we'll try and turn stuff around and perhaps try and pick up a victory tonight if he can. Right, well, first car to come round is Ethan in the Red Bull. Ethan sitting in 8th place in the driver's standings as of right now. They're trying to get some more points to the board for Red Bull to try and catch up to the top 3 Mercedes, McLaren and Aston Martin. He's coming over the line now to begin his first qualifying laps to take you on a lap of the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve, short runs turn 1, track bends to the right there and into that first corner. We'll get on the curbs there and make your way into turn number 2. Staying away from the curbs on exit as well as entry. And making his way towards that first chicane on the circuit. Now be careful here, think back to 2019. Sebastian Vettel almost ran Lewis Hamilton into the wall and changed the outcome of the race. Through the next couple of corners and into the second chicane here. Of course, I think that's 2011. Jenson Button making the race minute pass on Sebastian Vettel. A long time ago that. DRS zone now being activated. Down that straight he goes towards the next right-hander. To get really on the brakes for that. Good exit. And he's invalidated his lap. We'll carry on with him here unless he backs off. Making his way now towards that very sharp hairpin right. 42.2 is his second sector. And now on his way down the longest straight on the circuit. DRS deployed once again. There's 3 DRS zones on this circuit. And making his way towards that final chicane where the Wall of Champions is waiting. And he makes it off into the pit lane. So that'll be the end of his lap. Then he'll go out of the chicane and charging towards the line. We'll follow Prolol here for the end of the lap. We'll see him make his way through towards the final corner and just past the World Champions. The DRS back on, weaving over the line here. Prolol's first time, 1 minute and 10.6. His lap was also invalidated, so BJ goes fastest then, 1 minute 10.7. And Shea Oliver now goes fastest by about a second or so. He's up 1 minute 9.7. Lycon slowest. Curtis puts himself into third place. It's like the championship leaders making his way through. Grumio had a 41.8 in the second sector, but he's invalidated. So let's see just what his times he's looking at here. He said 1 minute 10.6. Of course, Cello back this week, and Dan taking Pope's place in the other Silver Arrow this week. Of course, Dan now as a reserve for the season. Looking to try and get some points on the board. And Che looking to close that gap to Grumio in the championship. Should he win and Grumio finishes outside of the top 5, then Oliver will take back the championship lead. Waiting to have the next couple of cars to come through to the line. That'll be the AlphaTauri of Prolol. And here comes C110P fan and McLaren, who may have just got a nice toe off his teammate here as they come towards the last corner. I believe I saw one of the McLarens each other through. He's invalidated at the last corner. Let's see how well he does coming towards the line. It's 1 minute 11 looks of things. 1 minute 11.0. Remember, he's on the medium tyres. Fan often takes that approach. So let's see if it pays off for him later on. But a good banker lap, despite the fact that he did invalidate just at the end. One of the Alfa Romeos coming towards the line here. That's PJ on his out lap. JB also on an out lap here. Make his way through to start his first flying lap. Ericsson into the pit lane. Lycon also into the pit lane. We're looking at Curtis as he comes over the line. He must have backed off on this occasion because he's done 1 minute 38.7. So 24 seconds off the pace of his previous lap. He currently sits P4. Only 5 drivers have been set lap time so far. And I fear track limits could be a real problem for some of these guys tonight. The track looking quite overcast. So in terms of weather today, not sure if we'll see any rain at all. There goes Websy starting his next lap. And that goes down up into P6 for Mercedes. 1 minute 13.2. About 4 seconds or so, 3.5 or so off of his teammates provisional pole setting time. Waiting now for fans to come back through. 43.7 was the second sector. He invalidated again. I'm at 15.3. PJ Cowley making his way now for the last couple of corners, or last chicane here, on its way towards the line. Bit slow for that last chicane there. Probably looking at 1 minute 12 if I had to think about it. Nope, 1 minute 11.7. And JB coming into the pit lane here. Websy 42.7 was his second sector in the Ferrari. As he makes his way now towards the last couple of corners on the circuit. Into the final chicane. Good exit. Probably looking at again at another 1 minute 11. Puts himself P5 here, so it looks like we'll be seeing very few times in that 1 minute 9, unless we see some drivers really getting that out and getting on the move again. So 9 drivers having now set lap times. We're still waiting on Landlord to join us. Of course, he joined us quite late last week. Still managed to come through and take the victory. His fan goes third fastest on the mediums. 1 minute 10.8. Now, what could that spell for him on the soft tyres? Oliver comes out just behind him. Another set of soft tyres on the car. Have to wait and see just what he can do here. Can he improve on that effort from the first run? 10 minutes to go, so there's plenty of time for him to try and do so. Wardy, who was reporting connectivity issues prior to qualifying. Tonight's race could be a struggle for him. We'll have to just see how he does. He's going to make his way towards the line now. 1 minute 10 for Wardy. Puts him P2. Brilliant lap there from the Williams. We just about got to see the end of it. Just wait on the next couple of cars now to come to the line. Webbsy on his way through. Busted backed off. Made a mistake of some kind. Grumio 19.5 of her first sector. And now he's making his way towards that second split. I have to see just what he can do. And the split's at 41.5 as he makes his way into the right-hander. Locked up the tyres just a little bit there. No smoke from the front wheels of the Aston Martin. So he's got away with it to some extent. But I definitely did see the tyres locked for a moment. Applying the brakes just a bit too much there. But I doubt it'll affect him in the long run. Those tyres have done nothing so far. Here he comes now through the final chicane. Look at the speed he carries through there. What an exit from the championship leader. He's going to try and take away pole position. And he'll do it. Just about. Grumio now on pole. And I dare say, this fight between Grumio and Oliver may have just reignited itself. Because we didn't see much of it last week with Oliver not being around. But this week, they're really lighting the fires, kicking the tyres. So we're getting some real action tonight in qualifying. I dare say those two will be going for that top spot throughout the session. BJ went 4th fastest there. Wardy's up there in 3rd place. I believe he's just made his way into the pit lane for the end of his run. I see one of the AlphaTauris coming in. That was Prolol. Have a look around here to see who's on the lap. Quite a few people on laps as it stands. Huggy's invalidated. JB is also invalidated. He'll go back through. PJ is invalidated. Websy was down by a second in the first sector. So I think we are starting to sort of catch drivers at the end of their runs here. Curtis is on a new run. He's 200th of a second up in his first sector. And towards the line for the second. 42.0. So it's a quarter of a second now he's got on his previous effort. And that could put him as high as P6. Especially if we can get some more speed out of this last sector. DRS deployed for him once again. Here comes the Alpine. Of course, it's been a struggle for Alpine so far this season. Currently sitting in 9th place in the Constructors' Championship as Curtis makes his way towards the line. Looking like a 1 minute 10 here, and he does go P6. So kept constant, didn't gain too much time, but get maintained enough. And Oliver now 10th and a half up out of the second sector. And Valle has a good last corner here. I see absolutely no reason as to why he can't make his way towards the line and reclaim pole position. He will do so by about, if I had to have a look at about just under a tenth and a half. So Oliver back on pole here. And Gremio slowing down here. And looking at the end of his run. Into the pit lane. And again, we're still waiting on the arrival of Landlord. There's Ethan on another lap here. P9 at the moment. 19.8 is first sector. Towards the chicane once more. Trying to carry as much speed as he can without losing the car. Yellow flags in front of him. They've been quickly cleared. And he's lost a lot of time there in Sector 2. I think I may have saw the back end ghost a little bit on either of the cars made his way through the last chicane. Landlord now having joined the session. Huggy Bear's out of the session. Huggy has retired the car at the exit of the chicane. And I believe Prolol may have just gone past him. We'll have to see if we can catch what's going on from Dan's perspective. The car may despawn though. And there he is, just lost control of the looks of things. And put it in the wall. Ethan did improve, but stays in P8 for the time being. The two Haas cars currently rounding out the top 10 as it stands. Woody 3.3 seconds down the end of his first sector. Making our way towards the closing minutes of the session now. 5.5 to go. Still plenty of time for things to change. Now Fan was a 10th up in his first sector. Let's see what it looks like at the end of the second. And now it's 3.5 tenths, so it's really improving here. If he can get a tenth or two more, he might find himself sitting in P5. If not, then in P6, just behind his teammate in terms of what row he'll be starting on. He'll be starting on the outside of row 3. And down towards the Wall of Champions once again. On those soft tyres. P5. So right there behind Prolol. Sorry, right there in front of Prolol now behind BJ, his teammate. Wardy now 15.2 seconds behind, so he's obviously backed off. He's done a good job so far. Put himself in P3. But that could still change as you see drivers look to improve. And one driver looking to improve in particular is this man, the championship leader. Again, look how quick he is through those chicanes. It really is a joy to behold. The first split, he's 4 tenths down though. So he's got a bit of work to do here by the looks of things. But anything could still happen. I believe he may have given up on this run and is waiting to go again. Although I could be wrong. Now it looks to just be a few seconds down. So yeah, he has backed off. And he will probably try and save the ERS back up and go for another lap. Fan off into the pit lane. And Lycon goes P7 for Haas. It's a brilliant lap there. 1 minute 10.5. Still about a second off our pole sitter. The gap's quite vast between the fastest and the slowest time today. Landlord yet to lead the pits. Sniper Hunter in the pit lane. He's driving for the Red Bull team tonight. He's got several reserves in the race. PJ Callan out lap here. JB about to start his next lap. 3 minutes to go. And I feel like at this point we start to see a lot of drivers coming out for their final runs. Majority of them in the pit lane here. JB starting will most likely be his final run. I doubt he'll be able to get another one in after, so I doubt he'll be able to go back to the pit lane, and he's backed off already. And we'll start seeing that pit lane getting very, very busy. Just 2 cars, or 3 rather, out on the track right now. Well, you want to try and get clean air for that last run. There's Landlord there, yet to set his lap. Last week's race winner. Looking to go back to back if he can. And what's always puzzled me is why on earth Landlord gets Vettel's helmet. The one driver on the grid who I believe gets the helmet of a driver, so I'm assuming that's a game glitch in some way. Final minute and a half, so the pit lane, people are starting to clear out already. You probably want to be leaving around now if you want a chance of getting in there before the flag falls. And Landlord about to start what will be most likely his first of 2 laps. Here we go. What can he do? I believe we just saw someone go up the time boards there. That's PJ Callard, who's went up to P8. One of the Haas cars towards the line. Ericsson stays in P11 because he's starting his final lap. Here comes one of the Mercedes cars. That'll be Dan. Last lap for him. Landlord 19.9 through the first sector. 42.4 through the seconds. Not the fastest time we've seen. Could Grumio try and give his teammate a tow? Oh! That Ferrari probably get in the way of Landlord a bit too much here. That could seriously impede his lap. And now Landlord getting a tow from his teammate who'll be focused on his own lap as well. He moves over to the right hand side. Teamwork in play here for Landlord to try and get those extra tenths as best he can. And he may give his teammate a tow on this final lap. Checkered flag about to fall here. Last couple of seconds. Yellow flag, sector 1. That's one of the Alpines going slowly. It's Curtis and the checkered flag now out. We wait now to see who will cross the line next. Courtney Goblin over the line. Che Oliver goes fastest again. Improves his time by a little bit. And Grumio only just up a bit. He's got to gain. Let's have a look here. He's got to gain just under 2 tenths in order to take pole position. And JB out of qualifying. I believe he's retired on track. Wardy into the pit lane. His run's done. Third will be the best he can hope for. And Fan goes third fastest as I say that. Wardy up by a tenth. With a bit more speed. Could get Wardy. And now Grumio receiving a tow from his teammate. Lando improved by 7 tenths. Could put himself inside that top half of the grid. Final corner. Oh, Lando spins it. But Grumio's charging through. Is it enough for pole? Oh no! He didn't quite do it. Landlord tries he might help his teammate. In the end, it hasn't worked out for the Aston Martin team. Landlord down in 14th. That'll be the best he can hope for the race, and it will be his position. And Che Oliver is on pole for the Canadian Grand Prix. Grumio, I thought the extra tow would be enough to help him, but I was wrong. So Oliver on pole position then after a brilliant amount of laps there. Grumio will start second. Fan will start third, get himself inside the 1 minute 9s, and Wardy will start the race in the 4th position. Brilliant qualifying session for him as well. BJ and Prolo will start on the 6th. And Oliver with a 5th place grid penalty for illegal blocking, and that's happened after the checkered flag, which isn't hugely fair if I'm being honest. And the game has been hugely unkind to Oliver there. Considering it happened after the flag, that shouldn't go at all. Well, last moments then. Apparently Che getting 5 places. And the game is, again, another problem that just... The problems keep stacking up for this game. It needs to be sorted. But that is your qualifying order then. And again, like I said, something has to be done about the state of this game at this point. Happened at some point last season. And now it's happened again. Well, Oliver's shown he's got the pace. So I have to see if he's still got it in the Grand Prix itself. But very unfortunate and unfair completely on Che Oliver, who did very, very well in his qualifying effort. But now starting down in 6th for the race. So controversial end to qualifying here. But we'll be getting set for the race in just a few moments' time. So here we go then, for the Canadian Grand Prix. The final minute or so before we get underway. And Oliver's penalty, if it's applied, promotes Wardy up into 3rd place on the grid, which is where he was. So unless we go to a red flag, it'll be Grumio and Fan on the front row. So it has all the makings of a brilliant race. Grumio, who could lose the lead in the start. Fan, who could try and snatch it off him. Oliver now in P6, had to fight his way back through the order. Wardy now starting in 3rd place. This has the potential to be an absolute classic Grand Prix. And I can only wait in excitement for what should be an absolute cracker of a Grand Prix. So make sure you stick around for it. So here we go then. It's time for the Canadian Grand Prix.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
So the tyre choices then, no one going for the softs this week, no risk takers. Majority of cars on the mediums and hards. So differing tyres for the cars on the front row. Wardy starts on the hards behind him and BJ also on mediums. Prolol on mediums and Che Oliver on hards.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
So here we go then. Grumio promoted to pole position as the cars line up on the grid now for the start of the race itself. And there is Wardy there behind him. There has to be some manner of a start for Wardy to take the lead, but he's the underdog at the front of the pack as the last 2 cars line up on the grid, the Ferrari and the Alfa Romeo, as we get set to race. And here come the lights for the Canadian Grand Prix. Round number 9 of the championship. It's lights out and away we go. Good getaway from both cars there. Looks like Grumio has to jump for the moment. But here comes the fan around his outside towards turn 1. But Grumio gets away in front. Wardy stays in 3rd but loses out to BJ on the inside of him through turn 2. Grumio for once had an absolutely brilliant getaway here. Oliver stayed consistent to where he is further back. Wardy's dropped the place. Everyone being quite consistent. Ericsson has dropped back as well. He's lost 5 places here in his opening couple of corners alone. Grumio leads the way. A fairly standard start here, especially if not for those cars further back. Sniper Hunter there. Curtis passing PJ, taking the point as it stands. Lycon's going for action, and there's contact, and that's a huge crash on the opening lap, taking out Lycon and Prolol. There's a number of cars who almost got involved in that. And the safety car is out early on. And that had the potential to be quite huge. So 2 cars out just like that. No word of a restart. Promotes Oliver up his first place though. And I don't suppose we're seeing any training changes to strategy at all, considering no one's starting on the softs. But Lycon and Prolol both out, they're both going for it there. And in the end, they've just collided, unfortunately. I see Websy and Curtis in the pit lane. Websy making a front wing change, so you may have gotten a piece of that. And Curtis also a change. Both cars away quickly. So I dare say we could get back to racing quite fast. So an early safety car then. Orders changed a little bit here. The two drivers have gained the most, being Landlord and JB, have both gained 7 places each. That's quite unprecedented. Have to wait now for the green flag to come back out. The two cars at the back joining back up. Will it come out now? It'll be a bit early. We have to go one more lap. I think we will be going one more lap. So the pack dropping back here. So Grumio leads then. Fan in second. BJ now in third. As it stands, there's the potential to be a good race for the McLarens, getting both cars to score points. Because Lando was a bit down the order to start with. Snipehunt's up there in 6th place. He's had a good start as well. The driver has lost out the most, aside from those two who crashed. Websy, of course, made the pit stop for fresh tyres and a front wing change. He's on mediums now. He's lost 9 places there. The two front row starters consistent. Grumio got away from the line well, which is different compared to recent weeks. But he's made it work completely and holds the lead off the start. And regardless of whether it be a green flag or a safety car, unless that's like, there'll be a Aston Martin who leads us around the Aston Martin safety car with us this week. And the weather looking a lot brighter than it did in qualifying, I have to note. So, at least for the time being, will look to be little to no threat of rain. I see Ericsson and Huggy discussing potentially having to give back a position that may have been gained during the safety car. But now I'm being told Huggy did give it back, so no concerns there. Right, safety car in this lap. Brief hiatus between this and the racing, but we're now about to get back at it. Aston Martin safety car pulling away, but it's still Aston Martin leading the field. And where will Grumio go? Because it's a long straight leading into a chicane here, so he needed a good exit off the last corner if he wanted to go as late as possible. But he might try and go down the straight. He might try and back them all up as much as he can, but it's still a lot of straight to go. And he's going now. Green flag going back out. Here we go again. And Grumio's really got away here. It's a brilliant restart. He's gained almost a second by the time they actually reached the line. Shea Oliver getting right to work here. Looking to try and get around Wardy at turn 1. Oh, onto the grass bit. And there's contact. And around goes Shea Oliver on the restart. And that is not what the Mercedes driver would have wanted. His championship rival now a long, long way up the road. He recovers the car. No damage done. And I dare say he may have been going for the move a bit too early there. Now down to 14th and with a lot of work to do in this Grand Prix. But anyone who can do it, it's him. So we'll see how he does. He may have brushed the wall just a little bit there on exit. Let's get right to it. We'll keep an eye on him as the race goes on. But Grumio leads then. There's the tyre choices for everyone so far. Those two McLarens on the medium tyres. Should be able to try and keep with the Aston Martin as best they can. Ethan gets a time penalty for multiple warnings, with the track limits have been a problem during qualifying, and they may show up again today. I think back to season number 12 where Grumio lost out on a victory in Canada due to getting a penalty in the last corner of the race, allowing Landlord to win it. And that was a huge part of the turning point in that season's championship, as the next race Landlord went on to take the title. Had that penalty not happened, then Grumio might have had a shotgun into the last couple of races. Fan sits the fastest lap behind him. One more lap until DRS is deployed. Oliver closing up to Ericsson in the Haas. He's got serious work to do here. Landlord passing Sniper Hunter further in front. Good exit from the Aston Martin driver. Gets away with the Red Bull. Last week's winner getting away. Red Bull want to try and stick with him as best he can. Currently beating his teammate for the week. That's Ethan down there in 10th place. Who of course has that penalty so far. Back up front. 7/10 separating the two leaders. As Che Oliver makes the pass on Ericsson into the corner. Oh, Lewis lost the back end just a little bit there. He's now almost a second behind Courtney Goblin, his next target in the Ferrari. And I dare say, once DRS gets deployed for the first time today, that Ericsson will want to have a real go at Che in order to try and take that position back. No points on the line for P13. And Grumio particularly good in that final corner. And that may be what's giving him that little bit more of an advantage each time he goes through there. But Fan will be hugely relying on this DRS. Along with his own ability, of course, to try and keep with Grumio as best he can. And BJ looks to do the same, despite the fact his teammate is getting away from him in order to try and challenge the race leader. JB with the penalty now. He's currently running in P7. DRS deployed for the first time in this race for the McLaren. Has to use it as best he can in order to close up to the driver in the top spot. Of course, just 23 points between these two in the Drivers' Championship as it stands. Grumio in first and Fan in third, but I dare say that could become second by about 8 points or so. Two cars running considerably different line there. Half second now between them. A little DRS train forming up, but not quite that condensed together. Fan closing in. He'll be looking for a good run here in this last corner. He seems to lift a lot more than Grumio does, but he's alright. He's got that DRS to keep him close, and if anything, he's even closer than he was when he went into the final corner. And Dan getting around Ethan here. Sherlock is at the back of this train will look to try and get around Courtney Goblin, who's also got the DRS, so it's not hugely helpful in the case of the Mercedes. Going a bit deep there in turn one. Ericsson are looking around the outside, trying to make something happen. Not a bit of it, but not at least not out of the corner. But going into this next chicane, there could be a bit of trouble between the pair of them. Ericsson does the wise thing, backs off, keeps himself going. Courtney Goblin now with a 3-second time penalty. Maybe for multiple warnings. Ethan looking to try and get around Dan. So neither Mercedes car doing very well at the moment. And Fan jumping back again now. BJ Callagher running in P8. 7/10 off of JB, and Dan is second behind him. Oh, and Dan got a bit wide there. That could open the door for Ethan to try and make a move. Not quite going to happen. DRS now redeployed for the Red Bull as he makes his way towards that last corner once again. They'll be using it especially to close in on the Mercedes with keeping his rear wing closed shut behind. Che gets a good run here. He could try and attack Courtney, but he's hit the wall slightly there. And Courtney Goblin looking to make a move on his own. He goes to the outside of TJ going to turn one, and that'll be the inside for two. So TJ's going to give him the space there, and he does. But holds the car on the outside quite brilliantly. Che has to sit another lap behind the Ferrari unless he can go for a move. But remember, it was over-ambitious attempts at overtakes that got him in this situation in the first place. Not to mention the penalty, which may have actually had a critical impact on his race here. Because he may not have been amongst the pack, and thus wouldn't have potentially collided with Wardy. And Courtney hits the wall here. That's the opportunity for Oliver looking for. He's going to look to the inside, going towards that hairpin. Late on the stoppers. And up front, just further in front, Ethan challenging Dan, his teammate. While up front, it's still about a second or so separating these guys as Landlord gets around Wardy, who's still been doing a good job there in P4. 6.3 seconds back to Sniper Hunter. Again, going down to 2.7 now. Sorry, 6.3 to from Landlord to BJ. As PJ Khaled and Ward and JB, sorry, are battling for P7. And JB around the outside looking to try to pull that move off. And he will. Great move from the AlphaTauri to hold on to P7 because he's still got that penalty to think about. PJ Khaled now also has to think about it himself. So both those cars will now lose out. Oliver again looking to close. Oh, it's the second time in 2 laps. He almost lost the car out of that same corner. That's what's costing him right now. Wardy's still within DRS range of Landlord here, so might try and get some of that time back. But he is quickly falling away. He has to use some of his DRS. So close back in, but I think by the time we get round for the next lap, he will be out of range. Fan sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Again, those Aston Martins are so good in the chicanes. Look how close Fan is to Grumio now. Those guys now really condensed together a lot more. Childer by now made the pass on sorry, made the pass a couple laps ago, but he's still chasing Mr. TJ here. In front of them, Ethan and Dan are going at it for P9. Allow them to close up, they'll get bunched together. And Chaser, look at it on the outside, that was very risky, and it almost went badly for him, even worse. And now as a result, Websy has gained a place, and he could lose out to Courtney Goblin as well. And again, that over-ambition, been a bit too optimistic, going for opportunities no matter where they come from, and it hasn't paid off for him. He's lost the place as a result. And I have to waste even more time getting back around that Ferrari. There goes the other Ferrari on his inside, and he might have an advantage to go around both of them here. And he will. And he'll have DRS as well, as will Websy. So everyone in this train in DRS more or less. TJ now passing Ethan. I'll close in on Dan big time here on the way towards that last corner. Oh, Dan gets a bit loose on the exit. We'll have to try and come back at Che. TJ looking at that now into turn 1. And I'll get him as well. Brilliant move from the Alpine. Curtis and Courtney going at it further back. Of course, Courtney also went for a bit of a over-enthusiastic dive bomb going into the hairpin. And that's what's caused both him and his teammates to go up places to Che Oliver. So now let's try and challenge Ethan in the Red Bull, who's his next target. That championship gap between Grumio and Che at this rate isn't going to be closing up anytime soon unless he can do something about it. And oh, there goes his teammate around, and he's almost taken Che with him. Dan lucky to not catch anyone out or give himself damage. Back up front, Fan and BJ again slow for that last chicane compared to Grumio, and that's where he's getting all that time back. Would it be wise for fans to move out of the way and let BJ Trano go? Of course, he's taken on the Aston Martin already this season and won. Think back to Australia, which feels like a long time ago at this point. The two McLarens continue to follow in formation. It's 8.6 seconds back to Landlord, so those three really getting away here. And Wardy, as it stands, I'd hate for there to be a safety car from his behalf. Grumio now the 3-second penalty, and that could change things. He now needs to get away. All of a sudden, that's the thing with penalties, that if you're leading the race and two drivers are chasing you like this, then that changes the complexity of your race completely. So you've now got to try and get away as best you can. And to make matters worse, the cars behind him both have DRS. So as long as they can stay with him now, there'll be a 1-2 for McLaren. However, as long as these three stay together, then it shouldn't impact Grumio too much. He'll lose the race if things were to end like this. He'll finish in 3rd place. With Landlord being so far back, it won't have huge amounts of impact. PJ Khaled getting around JB here. Shane now back up inside the points. Still got work to do here. He's wasn't a second behind Mr. TJ at the detection point, I can only assume. Yellow flag. That's Dan who spun it. And now Fan has a warning as well, has a penalty as well. And Huggy is out of the race. And a safety car has been deployed. Crash for Huggy off the final corner. May have done the same thing as what Dan did. But he's come off a lot worse. And a second safety car here on lap number 13 with 22 laps to go. Now, this has played very nicely into the hands of a lot of these drivers who have gone for the same strategy more or less. And especially those medium runners whose tyres may have been starting to drop off around this point. What will McLaren do? Because it would be too much of a risk for them to try and double stack unless they do try to go for it. And both of them coming in, but I think BJ may have backed off a little bit in order to stop himself waiting around so much. Grimier will most likely get out in front. It's a good change there. And BJ now coming in. But the good thing is the guy's got so much of a lead that they don't lose out too much. Or at all. Anyone who stayed out. PJ stayed out, as he often does. Will only come out, by the looks of it, in P3. So won't get the lead. Ethan also staying out. So some of those guys on the hard tyres. So Grimier and Fan maintaining their positions under the safety car and made that first and what could be their only stops of the race. I dare say Grimier had to go for another one. So he's starting on the hards, so he doesn't need to go for another one in terms of breaking the rules. But he may have to go for another one because I doubt those mediums will get to the end of the race. So maybe banking on a third safety car in this race, which is a risky thing, but could happen. So you never know. We'll wait now for Connie and Dan to join at the back of the pack along with everyone else. Now, PJ Keller there in third place. Now, him being there, of course, he's done this quite a few times here. Especially this season, there's been quite a few drivers who have stayed out under this first safety car because they're under this safety car in particular around this time of the lap, this time of the race, sorry, because they're on hard tyres, so they can afford to go longer into the race. But could there be any disruption amongst the leaders? Now, BJ's in a good position here, because all three of the cars in front of him, even because PJ has to pit, and both cars in front of him have penalties. And Leonard also sits in a good place as well. So if he can stay with those guys on the restart, which will be difficult considering he's down in 6th, and he may have still have a good chance of potentially taking something from this. Back all together now, so I dare say we'll be getting a restart this time. Let's wait and see. Coming towards the second sector line, which may be the point where they confirm it. Not just yet, but I think we will be getting one. And there we go. So another restart for Grimier to try and pull away on, but he's gone hugely wide there. So we'll try and back everyone up again. Will he try and go in the same place? Fan will be looking to try and counter that as best he can. He's practically synchronising with the race leader. And there he goes. He's gotten away relatively well there. And BJ looking to go on the attack almost immediately if he can. To try and get third place back before the two drivers in front of him go speed off the road. Green flag now back out. Back on the way here in Canada. 20 laps to go in this thing. And BJ getting right to work, wasting no time. Ethan Landau going at it as well. And Landau going around the outside of the Red Bull. And I don't suppose Ethan will hold up his teammate too much. Side by side, going into the corner. Both get away clean. Landlord there in 5th place now. That'll be 4th once he takes PJ, which could happen. Grimio's going for 1.2 seconds, and I dare say that this is the best version of the start for the Aston Martin driver, because in particular he's got to stay clear of both these guys when the DRS comes in on lap number 18. And BJ want to try and close those last 10th or so as Wardy. Oh, there's contact! And there goes Sniper Hunter to the track. Wardy has a penalty for a severe collision with Sniper Hunter. And all of a sudden, Wardy tumbling down the order. And I dare say the honeymoon period of this race might just be over for him here. Front wing damage, I believe, on both cars here. Can't be too sure about Sniper Hunter. He may have gotten away with it here. Grimio sets the fastest lap of the race. And Wardy, unfortunately, into the pits. I can't imagine how frustrating that must be, given how well this race today has gone so far for him. Grimio now 1.5 clear of the McLaren behind him. But in terms of that penalty, as of right now, BJ still technically leading the way. When folks will be keeping with one Aston Martin in terms of pace and trying to keep the other one behind him. And hoping that in the process he doesn't rack up any penalties of his own. Wardy releasing the pit lane now. Back out onto the racetrack. .8 seconds now the advantage, and Grimio's got away quite nicely here. Oliver back into 5th place now. He's pretty taking advantage of all that chaos, and now sits in with a chance of still taking something from this Grand Prix. Can he be the one to challenge Grimio? PJ doesn't like that idea too much. He wants to try and challenge Oliver. Come off the last corner, but he backs off considerably there. Grimio sets the fastest up once again. And Shea also a driver with no penalties there as he sets the fastest up for himself. 1 minute 12.6. This race is not over yet for Oliver. He's still got about 17 laps or so left to go in this thing in order to try and gain back that time. In terms of gap to the leader now, it's about 6.5 seconds. Which for him, I dare say he can get that back. Ericsson passing... Sorry, Cottingham passing Ericsson. Sniper Hunter's getting around Dan. Grimio improving a bit there. No DRS for any of these cars. All of a sudden the race got a lot less exciting. Websy and Mr. TJ getting out here on the exit with the hairpin. And Curtis Shepard is showing up to back his teammate. But Connie Gobbins right behind him. He won't be as much of a factor. As Websy look at it, he's currently got the last point in his hand. Good exit from the Ferrari. TJ forcing him towards the pit wall a little bit there. On a run towards turn 1, it all comes down to who's last on the brakes. And it's Websy who will give him the space. Side by side through turn 2. And TJ has it. Hasn't quite cleared the Ferrari yet. As they go into the corner, he does pull clear. And Curtis with the next will be trying to get past him next. Websy going a bit too deep there. And Curtis goes sailing through. And Conley Gobner around the outside of his teammate. This mid-pack here, very entertaining stuff. Being led by Ethan. PJ in a world of his own right now. And Jay closing on Landlord, who's closed up considerably to BJ here. And this is where the Aston Martins begin to show their mettle at this stage in the race. BJ all the way over on the left-hand side. Landlord taking full advantage, goes dancing around the outside into towards the fast corner. No DRS for the McLaren on the exit, but yes to DRS the Aston Martin. JB now passing Ethan on the way towards that last corner. And he'll now take the DRS for himself and try and get away. Sniper Hunter with the penalty. Connie Goblin Curtis going at it again. And Courtney came very close to contact with TJ there. That was very tight, but TJ goes around the outside of Ethan here, who's dropping back now. Those hard tyres managed to run their course, a bit of contact there. You saw Ethan just not lightly nudge the back of the Alpine. Both cars gone over it, no damage whatsoever. Che now closing in on those two cars. Wardy now has the fastest lap in his possession, but I dare say he needs a safety car of some kind to keep himself in the running here. 15 laps to go when Grumio crosses the line, and as of right now he's pulled that lead out to 3.7 seconds over Fan. Oliver now joins the fray. And as of right now, it's looking like this race be won, still won by Grumio. Yellow flag, last corner. Sorry, not last corner. That'd be Sniper Hunter's gone around. No front wing on that Red Bull, so he's lost it there. That's pitch to try and to get that replaced. I'll tell you what, off topic, I do like the way I don't know what number font on that number 7 Red Bull there. I do like the way the number 7 I look at the way it looks on the car. And speaking of 7, TJ's looking for position number 7 on the racetrack, trying to get around JB there. There's come close to contact through the chicane. JB practically shoving him on the exit to come towards the next chicane. JB has no choice but to stay behind him, try and counter on the exit, which he might be able to do with the help of the DRS. But TJ getting away a little bit there. Yellow flag again at Sector 3, and they're making contact between BJ and Oliver there. Both of them slow off the pace. Lando now pulling over that too much trouble. And no idea what's just happened. Curtis around Ethan. TJ's got a huge lead from JB now. PJ, I doubt it'll be too long before he comes to the pit lane. Now Oliver needs to potentially try to learn his lesson from last time he went for a move like this. Now will he be ambitious and look into the corner? Will he double back and try and find an opening elsewhere? Gonna wait for the moment. The DRS this time, so I dare say it'll be too much of a problem for him. Good exit, and now down the straight. Getting around BJ. It's Oliver up into P4 now, but he's got serious work to do. He's now further back than he was when he begun. 10 seconds to Grumio up front. He's got 13 laps to do it if he wants any chance of winning this race. I'm saying that he probably needs to only get out around 7 or so. He can still finish on the podium. This one is still achievable. Another safety car would help his case hugely, as it would for a number of drivers in the chasing pack. I dare say Grumio needs to pit again. I doubt he can make these tyres go all the way to the end. Of course, if I remember correctly, he retired here last season. And also went on to retire the very next week at Silverstone. So we're hoping for his sake history doesn't repeat himself. JB trying to hold off Courtney here. Curtis behind him, currently holding on to that final point to pay in place with both hands and not willing to let it go. But he'd rather try and move up. Speaking of moving up, Courtney Goblin's going to have a go at JB here. No, he's not. Backs off. Sticks behind the AlphaTauri. Che Oliver now the penalty. And that will make his chance of winning this race a lot slimmer. He now has to gain that full 10 seconds, which is now about 11.2. Grumio really getting away here. And it's looking like an Aston Martin 1-2 all of a sudden. Grumio 11 laps away from victory now. Back in the mid-pack here. JB still holding off Courtney, who has DRS. Not using his battery, but doesn't really need to. He's close in enough. Might try and go for it, but he's going to back off. And maybe look for it on the exit. And JB have a particularly poor exit there. He's got wide, he's got penalty. And goes Courtney Golan soaring past on the outside. That'll be the inside for turn 1. Ferrari have a real chance to get both their cars in the points here. Websy needs to gain one more place off of Curtis in the Alpine. Landlord's closed in on Fan now. He's within a second with the McLaren in front. Off the last corner they come. PJ still right there by himself. Neither PJ nor Ethan yet to come in, or neither of them coming in for that stop. Only ones on the track who have stayed out through this whole race. Curtis and JB going at it towards turn 1. Both drivers give each other the space. JB out to the edge on the inside. Got a nose out front on the exit and going into the chicane. He may just pull ahead, and yes he will. Oh, losing the car a little bit there. Curtis takes full advantage and goes sailing through on the inside. Just going to find a way to squeeze in there. Of course, JB's tyres should still last to the end of the race. Websy and Ericsson going at it into the chicane just behind them. Landlord here closing up to Fan. Chain not really closing that gap. That's where things get difficult. Are we looking at potential soft tyres for the end? For those guys on the mediums who have been on them for quite a while now. They're reaching the end of their lifespan before we start seeing problems with them. Give me 7 seconds to lose here. And we see a number of drivers who are killed for a safety car right now. Just 9 more laps to go in this thing. Grimio next across the line. Ethan into the pit lane, changing onto softs. And could that force the same sort of movement out of PJ Khaled, who's been on those hard to 25 laps now? All the hard tyre runners, I see no reason why they can't go to the end. But those medium tyre runners could be the ones who struggle. We know some of these drivers are very good at managing their tyres towards the end of a race. Grimio stays out. So I think with that, we'll assume that the rest of them will as well. That mid-pack has sort of evened out a bit. PJ now in for what I assume will be soft tyres. Websy passing JB for the last point on the road. But JB gets the exit and will take 1 position. He'll take 2 now as well. With PJ Khaled in the pit lane. Move JB up to P9, but it's not over yet. Because the pair of them still side by side into that first corner. And Ericsson's going to get involved as well. Poor exit from Websy. JB around the outside. They're side by side into the corner. Someone's got to give. No contact. It's JB who gives. Good points on the board here for Ferrari. P7 and P9. Better points for Alpine. TJ P6. Curtis P8. 8 seconds now between the 2 race leaders. And it would appear we are looking at an Aston Martin 1-2 at this stage. Lap 28 now. They'll have done 21 laps on these tyres, those medium runners, should they go to the end on them. That's quite a lot of laps still on mediums. Courtney Goblin now getting a penalty of his own. A lot of drivers with penalties here. Only 3 in the order still going who don't have any. And Courtney, I do see him falling out the points. as it stands. Oh, JB going way too deep into turn 1 there. Ericsson looks to try and take advantage, but can't do it. Oh, there goes Daniel around. Is he stuck? He may be stuck there. Nope, never mind. He's got stuff going. We've always been looking at a safety car there. I've seen that happen. Drivers getting stuck before. Green flag comes back out. Both Red Bulls not at the back of the order now. Things haven't worked out well for them today. It's not their day. Things are working out very nicely for both Aston Martins though, who look as be on course for a 1-2. Wardy now getting a penalty. Just 2 drivers don't have any yet. Landlord and BJ have driven the cleanest races in terms of track limits violations. Ericsson passing JB here. Ericsson will need to gain 3 seconds on the AlphaTauri in order to have that point in his possession. Otherwise, JB will take it due to the fact he has less penalties. Ethan with a penalty to go. Oh, excuse me. 9 seconds now for the Red Bull. Landlord still chasing Fan, but to no avail here. Not getting around McLaren, but he doesn't need to. All he's got to do is hold on. Ericsson there, still running in P10. He's really getting away from JB now. He's got to gain about another second or so. It does look like these guys are going to the end on those mediums. I don't think we'll see the hard tyre runners come back because they've put too much weight on their tyres and they're slower than it is. So it looks like the decision to start on mediums hasn't quite paid off for either of the 2 McLaren cars. What looked to be a double podium for them has turned to second or third and fifth, rather. And Grimmy with another penalty though. He's now got 6 seconds to his name. He'd need 2 more in order to almost lose out. Che chasing Landlord. This rate he'll finish in P4. And I do think about how this race could have gone differently for him if not for that penalty which was unfairly handed out at the end of qualifying, given that he wasn't actually in control of the car. Into the final 5 laps of this thing now. PJ passing JB further back. He'll want to try and put his hands on that point, which he will do at the moment, because he's within 3 seconds of Ericsson. Courtney Goblin right there behind TJ, looking for P6. This late the race, have a look at position gains here. It's 3 drivers who have gained the most here. Landlord's gained 11. TJ and Courtney both gained 11 each. But that could change. Courtney could take over that place if he makes a move on TJ. Driver who's lost out most is Wardy, who of course had that incident earlier on. And a second row start. Unfortunately, no points were coming his way. Just a few more laps to go now. .4 seconds separating the 2 leaders. Landlord all over Fan and Oliver looking to join the fight as well. And those medium tyre runners don't at all look to be struggling. Grumio in complete control of this thing despite those penalties. Ethan there gaining a place off of Daniel. Three laps to go. And Che will look at the exit now. Trying to swipe third on track. He was as far back as 14th earlier. And now looks like he can still finish on the podium. If he can get around Fan, then that'll do him quite nicely. But he needs to navigate away past Landau first, and he's lost the car, very nearly crashing it. And now he's got time to get back with 2.5 laps to go. And those medium tyres showing the end of their tether. Look at that, 19 laps they've done on them. It'll be a total of 22 laps when this race is over. Further back, PJ still chasing Ericsson in an attempt to try and take that last point on offer, which as of right now he's on course to be doing. Webster gaining 2 places at least. TJ still holding off Courtney Goblin here. 2 more laps to go up front for Grumio. And Oliver miraculously still within DRS range. The race isn't over for him yet. He can still get on the podium. I feel like I'd be all too happy with that. Yellow flag, sector 2. And that is one of the Mercedes cars gone around. That Sniper Hunter's gone around as well. It's between the Red Bull and Mercedes, where in real life we've heard that before. And Courtney Goblin now passing TJ into turn 1. A battle of the number of the drivers with 2 on their cars. As Safari comes out on top, but he will lose that place at the fall of the checkered flag. Oliver now needs to get around Landlord this time if he wants to try and take a podium finish out of this one. He needs to either hope on a fan penalty or pass both these 2 cars. Grumio passing Sniper Hunter here. He comes through to start his final lap here in Canada. It's been a commanding drive since that safety car restart, and now he's on course for victory, providing he can hold those medium tyres for 1 more lap. And Che Oliver will be hoping on a mistake from either one of these 2 cars in front of him in order to claim a podium finish. Following this little train. Further back here, everyone quite split up. This is the closest fight on the track. And Oliver may have really had to go for it. Because he's been aggressive a fair few times and it almost hasn't paid off for him. But I think now is the time he has to try and push as much as he can. Push everything left out of those tyres. And I'll tell you who has pushed the absolute maximum out of his wheels. Those mediums have really done their job for Grumio today. And he's a corner away from increasing his championship lead with another victory here as he makes his way towards the Wall of Champions. The record champion of the RDL comes through to win it. Salve Grumio holds on and wins here in Canada and spins the car over the line. And here comes Fan, home for what should be second place. Sorry, it'll be third place rather. Landlord will get second. Che Oliver home in 4th in the end. I'm actually disappointed with that, because a race where, in all reality, he should have started on pole. BJ home in 5th in the end. Courtney Goblin will finish 6th on track, but will lose a number of places due to having 12 seconds off penalties. So he can hold the car to the line. And will he score points? I don't think he will. Hang on, no, he will. He's scored 2 points from the day. PJ Callaghan takes the last point to the gamble. Paid off for him to some extent because he did score 1 point. It's Grumio then who wins. His car totaled here at the end. Good race all around. A lot of penalties. A lot of incidents. There's C1SMP fan who finished in 3rd place. We'll see if we can talk to him in a few moments' time. Another Aston Martin 1-2. They've done their job once again and will increase their lead in both championships. Landlord who fought up through the order from P14 to finish in 2nd place. And those mediums did pay off for the Astons. And Grumio wins once again, increasing his championship lead. And I dare say that Fan may move up into 2nd place in the championship. But Landlord will also have some other say as well. So those 3 will close up to each other. But Grumio will increase his lead, no doubt. And going to Silverstone next week. Again, a place where he retired from last season. He'll be looking to try and banish those memories away. And potentially put another win on the board. Aston Martin on top again here in Canada in a very enjoyable race. Let's have a look at your final results now. Grumio wins the race with Landlord in 2nd, another 1-2 for Aston Martin. Fan in 3rd, Oliver 4th, BJ 5th, TJ 6th, Websy 7th, Curtis 8th, Connie 9th, and PJ takes home the final point. Good points paying days for Alpine and Ferrari to try and put them up the order. In Ferrari's case, trying to catch Red Bull. Ericsson finishes in 11th, JB 12th in the end, Daniel 13th, Ethan in 14th, Wardy 15th, Snipe Hunter 16th, both those 2 guys are lapped down, Huggy in 17th, Lycon 18th, and Prolol in 19th. So those were the results from the race, and we'll see if we can get an interview from C110P fan there after a decent end to the race. And we'll see what we can get him. See if we can get anything from him here. Brilliant race all around, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. That 2nd safety car really changing things towards the end. I'll be able to talk to Fan in just a moment's time. We'll let him find some headphones just quickly, and then he'll be there with us. Good race for him. Had a potential maybe go a bit better if not for the penalty, but still. A podium finish, 3rd place for him to sniff at. Be able to help him keep close in the championship as best he can to Grumio, who keeps on winning. The Aston Martin pair quickly found their feet this season. I'll be looking to try and improve in the next couple of races as time goes by. In terms of that Constructors' Championship, it will help McLaren keep pace for the time being. Of course, a 5th place finish with BJ. He sits 6th in the championship. Those points should be enough to move up to 5th place. Coming in today is 51 points back, and Fan is there with us now. Fan, you got us?
Hello, mate.
How you doing then?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Yourself?
Good, thanks. Had a decent race there for you then. 3rd place finish. Talk us through it. What went down?
Yeah, I got a decent start. Me and BJ got away with Grumio. I think he was he on hards at the start?
I believe he was, yes. He made the change.
Yeah, that is the only reason I kept up with him. But yeah, we got away. I think we were having a good race. I was just sort of, there was no point pushing because I was never going to get ahead of Grumio. So I was just sort of letting him tow me along. And then BJ was with us. I think we probably dropped everyone else by about 8 seconds.
Yeah.
I was just about, funnily enough, when the safety car came, I was just about to box that lap. I saw that I'd come out in 8th, something like that. So I was just going to sort of take the chance to get a bit of an undercut. And then obviously the safety car came out. Then once that happened, and I was on the hards and everyone else was on the mediums, I didn't really have a chance.
It's fair enough. I mean, but still, podium finish, nothing to sniff at there. There was a question I did want to ask you. So obviously, I'm sure you noticed at the end of qualifying, we had the issue with Che, who was set the fast time in qualifying, but then got dropped 5 places after checker flag. You know, got anything to say in terms of the state of the game at this point?
I mean, what more is there to say at this point? It's one of those. I mean, I'm sure he'd be upset, and I absolutely would be if I was in the same boat, but there's so many bugs and things that I think those sort of things even themselves out over the course of a season. So I'm sure it won't make too much of a difference in the long run.
All right. Of course, in terms of that second half of the race, of course, you guys, like you said, the 2 McLarens really did keep with Gremio for the first half of the race or so. But after that safety car, he really did seem to pull away. So was that the tyres, or was that just simply you not being as fast as you were in the first stint?
I was going quicker in the second stint. As soon as I got on them hards, I was going quicker than I was on the mediums. My pace obviously dropped off a little bit, but it was just a tyre difference. That was the only reason I was able to keep up with Gremio long enough to get DRS off him and let him tow me along. But as soon as I didn't have the tyre advantage, he was just gone. To be honest, I was surprised that I stayed ahead of Landlord. But I think he said he used up all of his DRS just catching up. So you need ERS and DRS to get past. So I was just sort of towing him along at that point.
Fair enough. Of course, he got you at the end thanks to the penalty. Last
question.
Yeah,
that was a silly one.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Canada's quite a ruthless track for track limits. One more question for you. In terms of next week's race, got Silverstone next week, home race for you. So you're looking forward to that one. How is Silverstone as a track for you?
I love it. I mean, I don't always have the best luck there, but it's always fun. It's one of my favourite tracks, whether it's one of my best.
I think I'd have to agree with you there, yeah.
It's always a fun one.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully we'll get some good luck for you next week and be able to have a good battle with those Aston Martins, try and come out on top of them next week. So we'll just see how it goes. So, yeah, thanks for coming on. Congrats on the podium.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
I'll talk to you in a bit.
See ya. Bye.
Alright, so that was C110P finishing third today. Brilliant race from him. And that'll be the end of our show. So thank you guys for watching this one. Next week, on the 9th of March, if my memory of the time was correct. No, it's not. It's the 6th of March, rather. So same time, same place, 7 PM on this channel. If you are new around here, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more RDL action as the season continues. Reaching the midway point of the season, we've still got quite a way to go. So in Austria, we're reaching the halfway point. It's in 2 weeks' time. So we're almost halfway through the season, and the championship battle is still going strong. So I have to wait and see how things go. But until then, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and I shall see you next week for the British Grand Prix. Have a good evening, and goodbye.